Welcome to Flex with Purpose, the podcast that explores what it means to move forward into our highest potential, not for ego or applause, but to strengthen others and make the world a better place. I'm your host, Schalee Sanchez, and I am so glad that you're listening to us today. This is a space for real conversations with people who live boldly, lead authentically, and let humility be their compass. I am thrilled to have a very good friend joining us today who embodies those qualities. Patrick Sagui. Patrick is an incredible example of strength, encouragement, and humility that has a ripple effect into the lives of others. We're going to start our conversation by celebrating some of Patrick's personal wins, and then we're going to dive into a story that really captures what Flex with Purpose is all about. It's a simple but very powerful moment when Patrick noticed two young brothers that were working out at a gym, and he went out of his way to go and encourage them. So I'm excited for him to share that story. It's a story of compassion and leadership and really using your strengths to make someone else's life better. Patrick, I am so glad that you're here, and welcome to Flex with Purpose.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Great. So as we get started, there is this tendency of people to think that if you're going to be humble, then you can't brag on yourself. But I'm giving you permission in this space right now. I want you to share with everybody the biggest wins that you've had and tell us a little bit about that.
So in 2007, when I started personal training, my peers at the time would tell me, you can't make a career doing this. Unless you're training celebrities or pocketing in-home clients, like you can't have a mortgage, you can't get married. And here I am almost 18 years later, proving them wrong. So that's probably my biggest win, my career. Yeah, I saw a lot of good trainers come and go, and I stuck it through, and I had some help along the way, and I'm glad I did. And there's a few peers, like a handful, that made it with me, that made it through. But yeah, I'm able to do something I'm passionate about and make a career out of it. It's also allowed me to have enough freedom to cut my schedule in half, to be secure enough financially to pick up my boys from school and spend quality time with them and bond with them. So that's probably the win I'm the most proud of.
Yeah, as you think back about that process since 2007 and the ways that you were able to overcome those obstacles of what other people thought and your own challenges along the way, who were some of the people or what were some of the moments that you received some kind of help along the way that kept you going?
So probably my first mentor, like I was a really shy kid at 21 years old, entry-level trainer. And I did not see a lot of potential in myself, but this guy saw something in me that I didn't know existed. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this thing. Like, I'm very gray. I'm self-taught at best. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'll show you. And he took the time to develop me. And from there, it became a friendship. But he looked out for me. Even when we started in the same gym, but even after I got promoted to other gyms, he always checked in on me. Today, we're still friends. I talked to him the other day. So he got me started. Along the way, I met another individual, a different gym, who took a chance on me. I show up to the interview halfway dressed to impress because it's a gym with a black eye. So I got into a bar fight the day before. Unfortunately, I was arrested the day before, but I made it to the interview. And this guy's a former cop, former SWAT. I nailed the interview, hired me. To this day, he'll tell you I was the best trainer he ever hired. Eventually, I took his position. He went a different route. I became the fitness director. From there, I actually met another trainer who is still training to this day. He's one of the best trainers, best friends that I know. And he probably had the largest impact on my training career. I became stagnant in training. I didn't know if I wanted to do this anymore. And if you want to talk about humility, like I just said, hey, man, I want to learn more. You're doing something I don't see other trainers doing. This whole assessment process, it just seems like it's just sales. And I don't really believe in this assessment. I don't think I'm learning anything assessing these people. And I feel like I'm just making random programs. And continuing education at the time was very expensive. It still is. We're talking $1,000 courses. And so if you're a new trainer and you're not booked, you can't afford it. And I remember at the time when I would ask other trainers for advice, or they wouldn't give me any advice. So like, nah, you got to pay for it. If you want the information, you got to pay for it. And we can get back to that later. Because that always stuck with me. And but anyways, this trainer, he's like, hey, do this course, call me anytime. All right, after you're done with this course, here's the next course to take. Call me anytime. And eventually we developed a friendship. And today he's training at Cooper. He's been there for well over 10 years. I mean, I think he's probably close to 15 years there. Uh, yeah, so he made me care about training again. And I wanted to be a different trainer. I wanted to stand out. And so he helped me get there. We'll always be grateful for him. We'll always be grateful for my other friend and then my first mentor. To this day, I speak to all of them.
It's awesome. I really appreciate you highlighting the value of relationship and you being able to get where you're at today and how you have continued to cultivate those relationships, seeing the value in the ways that they've not only helped you achieve your goals, but helped you become the person that you are today. So, have you seen that play out where you received from these mentors in your own life and you've had the opportunity to pay that forward?
Well, it's funny, like going back to these mentors, like they're too kind. Like they'll tell you I surpassed them, that they've become the student and I've become the master. I'm around good people, to be honest. I've tried to pay it forward and I try to pass that message on. I actually give out a ton of free information, whether it's a minute, 5 minutes, or 30 minutes. And people are like, man, can I pay you for my time? And I'm like, we're good. Because I remember how I was treated and it sucked. And I hated that feeling. So yeah, I give a lot of free advice. I get DMs weekly. It's pretty funny. I get DMs mainly from men, which is probably a good thing. Uh, it's usually, this is hilarious. It's usually men in boxer briefs showing me their progress pics.
It just shows the influence that you have and the lives that you are impacting. These people really value what you have to say and the knowledge that you have, which is awesome. And they're reaching out to you because they know that they're going to get something that is going to help them be able to continue moving forward with their goals. So, when you think about these milestones in your life and the people that have been a part of that, what have been the ways that you have been able to stay grounded, keep moving forward, not give up?
uh, because earlier you asked me personally and then professionally. I think it's my personal experience. Um, my battle with addiction, that has been the most challenging barrier for me. Like I really thought I was going to die a few years ago. Like I wasn't afraid of death. I was afraid of living. And I've always had a battle. I've always had this fight with addiction and maybe mental health, for sure. Mental health, correction. And I really put my family through a lot and it's still a battle. You talk to anyone with addiction, it's always a battle. And I feel like I really got control of it over a few years, but I kind of saw the light. And it was that experience where I just wanted to be better. I just wanted to be a better husband, a better parent, a better friend, uh, because I know the pain. I've experienced it. And so if I see someone who's having a bad day, or maybe they're hiding it. That's the thing about mental illness. You don't know. We're really good at hiding it. And so give that person a minute, give them 5 minutes. Yes, it was probably that moment.
Tell us a little bit about your family, Patrick.
Yeah. So, married, 13 years, my beautiful wife, Jessica, I've known her since 2008. So we go way back. I mean, she was there every step of the way through almost my whole training career. And I ran every decision by her because I'm very risk averse. We have two beautiful children. They're at school right now, not getting in trouble. Well, they're probably getting in trouble. 9-year-old Oliver and my 6-year-old Lucas.
I get to witness you being an amazing father to them, and knowing, what things you've overcome to be the person that you are today. It really is an encouraging and hope-filled message, because there's not always someone who has been able to do what you've done and come out on the other side able to say, "Hey, there's hope." So, appreciate you being willing to share that. And,
Absolutely.
um, I'd love to hear a little bit, you've talked about your kids, you've talked about, um, a few personal things, but tell us a little bit about what is it like in a typical day for you, as far as being a trainer, being a husband, being a dad? What does that look like for you?
Oh, it's early mornings, getting up around 4ish. Pretty slow. My breakfast consists of getting full on a bunch of pills, supplements. My wife makes me some breakfast from the day before, little overnight oats, protein, of course, some good fats, and then I'm kind of checking my notes, what clients I have for the day, what did we do in our last workout. It's about a 15-minute drive to work. I'll usually pick up some type of podcast, and it's not necessarily training related. It could be personal development, it could be stoicism, it could be Christianity, it can be supplements, some gray area supplements that aren't over the counter, something. Just try to learn something new every day. And then typically it's some back-to-back training. As I mentioned, I'm fortunate enough to be able to get off early. I don't take that for granted. I know some people don't get to spend as much time with their children that I do, and yeah, that's very important to my wife, to myself. Yeah, so if I have a break in my training sessions, I'll work out. But I like to leave the gym, clear my head, go on a long walk. Sometimes there's no podcast in the walk. It's just me with my thoughts, whether it's prayer, meditation, or looking back at a past conversation that may have went wrong or may have went good or well, and then yeah, catching another workout, or maybe it's the first workout of the day, and then just downtime before I pick up the kids because they're a lot to handle. And in the downtime, this is something I'm still practicing. Like, can I just have silence and think of no thoughts, just zero? And occasionally I have, and it's pretty comforting because you can have complete silence, no thoughts, you might find peace. It's very hard to do. I've done it a few times, so it's a skill, and I'm working on it. Pick up the boys, and then although they say the children today at their school don't have homework, they always come home with something. So we're working on reading, math, whatever. We get to free time. They schools, they're in a dual language program. It's a lot of work. Their house should be their sanctuary, their safe place. So yeah, we'll have a little break, some downtime, and then we're either going to jujitsu, martial arts, or we're going to soccer right now at the time. And then we're waiting for mama to get home, and then we have our dinner, we have our family time and bath time, and then getting the kids ready for bed, and then finally the wife and I can talk about our day. But that's it, and then repeat. That's a normal day.
Well, thanks for sharing about each of those different elements in your day. Can you tell us a little bit more detail about, you said, you go to the gym and you work with your clients. Well, what kind of clients do you work with? Do you work with all a specific, do you have a targeted kind of client that you work with, or what does that look like for you?
Everybody, all ages. Most of my clients, I would say, are probably broken, multiple past injuries. So, uh, client today, I know she would love for me to talk about her. She is a cancer survivor, and a few years ago, when she returned back to the gym, um, if you looked at her, you probably thought she was going to die. No hair, bandana on, frail, under 80 pounds. She's walking with a cane. She actually had to stop her cancer therapy because she developed a staph infection in her knee, and they had to cut her whole leg up. They said, hey, we can't treat your cancer right now until we deal with the staph infection. So, now this is life or death. It was already life or death, but now it's more serious. And so, she's in physical therapy at this point, and I'm communicating with her physical therapist. So this is one of my many clients. I have all kinds of different clients, and her physical therapist is like, we can't get her knee to bend. I've tried everything. If we can't get that knee to bend, then she's going to have surgery again, and that means no cancer treatment. And I was like, well, what can I do with her? And she goes, whatever you can do to get that knee to bend. And I'm like, all right. So she comes in day one. This is not the first time I've met her. I trained her pre-cancer. She can't walk up the stairs. She can't do the recumbent bike. But I helped her up the stairs, and I'm testing her on equipment, and we can't find anything for her to do. I put her on a sled, a little push-pull sled or a prowler, and that knee popped and it bent. I was like, oh, she avoided the second surgery. She was able to get treatment. To this day, she's cancer-free. She'll say that I saved her life. No, I mean the doctors did, but yes, it's a very emotional every time we talk about it because she always brings it up. It's a very teary-eyed subject. But that's one of many clients that I deal with. I have a few clients who are just in there for just general health. Some that have very specific goals. I'm not training any bodybuilders. Happy to train them, but I just train regular people, and I'll take all comers. I don't care what your injury is. I'll do my homework. I'll talk to your physical therapist. We'll figure it out. It's a team effort.
Yeah, one of the things in the time that I've known you, Patrick, that has stood out to me is how much you care about each of the people that you work with. And you really are just there to serve them and find the way to step into that space of wherever they're at with it, whether it's with a goal, whether it's with an injury, whether they're just trying to maintain and you meet them where they're at and then help them, and it really is such an encouragement to me and something that I've gotten to experience in my own journey of the very intentional way that you continue to improve yourself for the benefit of your clients. But what I'm really excited to get to now at this point in the podcast is I'd love for you to share. I remember the morning that I was in your home. Jessica, you and I were in the kitchen, and you were telling me this story of meeting these two brothers at the rec center. So just go back to that day and tell us the story of meeting those guys and what happened.
It's the summertime, towards the end of summer. My boys are at summer camp there at the rec center. So usually I'll go in there, catch a workout before picking them up. And it was a slow day. And I did not know these were brothers. They did not look alike. And I noticed there was a handicapped young man with very atrophied legs on a hip thrust machine of all things. And there was his larger friend who was helping him on there, and I'm like, a hip thrust of all things, and he's hip thrusting away, and his friend is picking him up and putting him back in his wheelchair, so he can do his set. And here's a grown man just staring at these kids. I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. I'm just staring at these kids. They move on to a Smith machine for some bench pressing, and the young man who's handicapped, he's bench pressing alone. His friend disappeared. I'm like, oh, this could go bad. So I'm keeping a close eye on him just in case I need to run over there. Don't want him to drop the bar on his chest. And the other young man runs back, and he came back with 2 protein drinks. And once again, I'm just staring, and I'm like, I really should go say something. So eventually I work up the courage to go talk to these kids, and they tell me they're brothers. And it turns out the larger, taller brother is in middle school, and the disabled brother is in high school. So didn't see that coming. And I was like, you are a good brother. And I looked to the other brother. I was like, do you realize how lucky you are? And he's like, I know. And from there, we just started talking. They couldn't really make eye contact with me. I don't blame them at the time. They kind of, mumbled their names to me. They were a little nervous. I'm relatively big. But yeah, no, I was just telling them, I was like, you guys inspire me. I've never really liked those videos or memes online, like, what's your excuse? But in that moment, I felt it. Like, I definitely stepped up my game in that workout. And, I would kind of tease them every now and then. I was like, you had 3 more reps in you. And, we just kind of bumped fist, and I introduced myself, and I said, it was a pleasure to meet you guys. I hope to see you guys around more, and like, keep it up. And, I kept an eye on them throughout the workout. In fact, I left the rec center. I was like, I'm gonna get cleaned up, and then I'll come back and pick up the boys. And I took my time. And when I came back, they were still lifting for 2 hours in the gym, which is crazy. These boys could be playing video games at home, but instead they're at the rec center working out together. I've seen the older brother, no car ride, just wheelchair himself to the gym. I was like, man, like, that motivates me. Like, I want that. It's like, wait, did I just say I want that? Like, man, you have it. I have legs that are fully functional. Like, what am I talking about? But no, it lit something in me. And I mean, I was very moved. I hope my sons, have that bond. But I also hope that the way those brothers treated each other, like I hope my sons will do that to a complete stranger as well.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because there's so many parts of that story that are really well connected with this whole theme of humility. And one of the things that is maybe surprising for people who have been around you at all. I like to joke with you and say you're a big guy with a bigger heart. You can, if someone just sees you, it can be very intimidating, how big you are, and to have a person who has that kind of strength, be willing to go and engage and have a conversation with someone. So intriguing to me that you bring out this part of what all of us experience in our humanness of it required courage for you to do that. And in in that moment, can you remember what it was that kind of gave you that, as Benjamin Me likes to put it, that 20 seconds of insane courage where you were just like, "I've gotta go do this."
It's hard to go back to that moment because, unfortunately school started for them. They better be in school, so I haven't, run into them again in the weight room. Our schedules are just different. And I think I have to go back to my first training job that I shared with you, when somebody saw something in me that I didn't know I had in myself. And maybe that's what it was just innate in me.
One of the things that you were mentioning is how you ended up being inspired by them, which is something that I think surprises a lot of us when we choose to step into those moments and use whatever it is that we have to contribute and make and enhance someone else's life. And, you stepped in to encourage them, but then actually they ended up inspiring you.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times we think like, I have to be inspired by someone who's more advanced, more educated than me, bigger than me, whatever. And no, that's not the case. It could be someone younger, absolutely, just starting off their life, like barely starting off their life. And don't overlook the little guys. You can learn something from them. Like the kid in the wheelchair, the older brother, like he has every excuse to skip the gym. And then, like, I mean, I'd love to meet their parents. Like, their parents raised those kids right. Like that, I haven't seen that brotherly love since a show that I watched on Netflix, which is Make Believe. Um, so yes, I mean, reliving that, very, very moving. I'll never forget that moment. I wish I would tell this story more often. We have it recorded now, so maybe, yeah, maybe it will be retold more often.
Such a valuable part of a attitude of humility, being able to receive from not just the people that you see as the elite and someone who everybody else would look to as successful, but being able to learn from the people that we get to interact with on a daily basis and sometimes be surprised by the things that others can teach us when we have that openness. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being an example of that. As we close up, Patrick, I want to ask you if there's one truth or one lesson that you want the listeners to carry with them after listening to this podcast.
Uh, so I'm not a content creator. I'm not an influencer. I'm nobody. But I forget that people, when they look at me, they see something. They see something else. That's why they view me higher than I think of myself. And that's why I will take the time to give my attention to somebody, even if it's a minute. Sometimes it turns into 30 minutes. And I'm like, whew, well, there goes my workout. I'll be working out, when some of these interactions happen. I would just say, like, I just make time for people. And then I've shared some very personal things with you. I was really nervous about sharing. Be authentic, meet people in the middle, meet people where they are. Um, but I'm pretty authentic. Like, if you ask me any question about training, supplements, I'll tell you what I do. And because there's a lot of people in this industry that don't tell you the truth. and take advantage of you. Yeah. So, uh, if you can take anything from this podcast, I would say, tell people the truth, give people the time of day. Obviously, be safe, be careful about it, especially females. But yeah,
I appreciate you, Patrick, for the impact that you've had on my life. I appreciate learning from you, not just as you've trained me and the benefits that have come from that, but your friendship, your example of humility, your example as a husband and a father inspire me. And I really appreciate you being willing to share from your own story, from your own life, and give others an opportunity to grow as leaders and be successful in their careers as they learn how to be guided by humility in that. So, thank you very much for sharing with us today.
yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure to be here. As you know, my first podcast ever. I've turned many other podcasts down, but I couldn't say no to you. So you've had a big impact on my life. So, and you know that. Um, so yeah, it's very hard to say no to you, but let's, take it easy. But